friends, welcome to this video of mathematics. In this session, we will learn about the polynomials and their classification according to their power, that is, degree of polynomials. In the last class, we learnt about algebraic expressions. These are a few examples. In the given expressions, x, y, and z are called variables. Numbers associated with these variables are called coefficients. And the numbers whose values are fixed are called constants. Now, if we focus on the powers of these variables, these are positives, negatives, and fractions. And friends, the only difference between polynomials and expressions is that the power of variables in polynomials is always a whole number, whereas the power of variables in expressions can be any number. Here, we have to focus on one thing, that all polynomials are expressions, but not all expressions are polynomials. Friends, in the given examples, polynomials are in one variable only, and such type of polynomials are called as polynomials in one variable. Can a polynomial be in the form of two or more variables? Yes, but we will learn those polynomials in higher classes. General form of polynomials is expressed in this manner, where x is called variable, an minus 1, a1 are coefficients, and a0 is a constant. Polynomials are expressed as p of x, q of x, or according to the variables p of y, r of y, or r of t, q of t. Polynomials are also classified based on the number of terms present in the polynomials, such as monomial, binomial, trinomial, etc. Similarly, polynomials are classified based on the degree of polynomial, such as polynomials having degree 1 are called linear polynomials. Polynomials having degree 2 are called quadratic polynomials, and polynomials having degree 3 are called cubic polynomials. Friends, if you observe the general form of these polynomials, it has been stated that a should not be 0. Do you know why? If a becomes 0, then the degree of polynomials reduces by 1. If, in the general form of cubic polynomial, we put 0 in the place of a, then its degree reduces by 1 and becomes quadratic polynomial. Similarly, quadratic will become linear and linear will become constant polynomial. Let's assume that there is an expression whose power is 0. For example, 5 times x to the power of 0. Then, would it be a polynomial? During such dilemmas, we should focus on the definition, which says that if the power of any expression is a whole number, then the expression is a polynomial, and 0 is a whole number. Hence, it is a polynomial. The value of x to the power of 0 in 5 times x to the power of 0 is 1. That is, 5 times x to the power of 0 equals to 5, means any number can be written as the polynomial with power 0. Now, this means that constant or numbers are also polynomials. They are called constant polynomial. Is number 0 also a polynomial? 0 can be expressed as 0 times x to the power of 0, or 0 times x to the power of 3, or 0 times x to the power of 5, or as a power of any variable. So, 0 is called a zero polynomial whose power is not defined. Friends, we have come to the end of this video. So today, what have we learned? See you all in the next video. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video of polynomials. In the last video, we learned to recognize polynomials and also discussed classification of polynomials based on the number of terms and the highest power of variable. Today, we will learn to solve few questions based on those topics and will enhance our knowledge on the polynomials. So, let us start. The first question: which of these expressions are polynomials? And classify them based on the number of terms and the highest power of the variable. To answer the question, you can pause the video. The first expression, x to the power of 3 plus 3 to the square root of 5, has only a single variable x, whose highest power is 3. And there are two terms, x to the power of 3 and 3 to the square root of 5. This means it is a cubic binomial in one variable. In the second expression, minus 3t square plus 2 square root of t minus 1 by 4, there is only one variable t, whose highest power is 2. But if we see the second term square root of t, its power is not a whole number. Here, the power of t is 1 by 2, means this expression is not a polynomial. The third expression is very simple. It is a constant polynomial with power 0. Now, let's solve another question. You have to write the coefficient of x square in the given polynomials. Such questions are quite easy. Just that we have to focus on x square and have to write its coefficient. In the first question, square root of 2x square minus 3x plus 9. What is the coefficient of x square? We can directly say square root of 2 is the answer. Now, let's go ahead and see the expression x plus 2x to the power of 3 minus 5 by 4. Here, x square is not present in the equation. Now, how to find its coefficient? This expression can also be written like this, where the coefficient of x square is 0 and hence this complete term is 0. In an expression of polynomial, if the x squared term is not present, then its coefficient will be 0. The next polynomial is x square minus 7. Will the answer be 0 in this case also? No. If x to the power of 2 has no coefficient, its coefficient is taken as 1, because on multiplying any term with 1, we get the same term. Let's see our next question. Here, we will have to write an example of a trinomial in which the highest power of the variable is 15. The answer to this could be as follows: x to the power of 15 plus x to the power of any whole number other than 0 and less than 15 plus any number other than 0. Here, you can also write the coefficient of x to the power of 15, which can be any number other than 0. Got it? Before we end, here's a question that you have to solve yourself. Write an example of a binomial in which the highest power of the variable is 145. So friends, in today's video, we learned to recognize the polynomials and also learned to solve a few questions based on their types. In the next video, we'll learn few similar concepts. Thank you. Friends, welcome to the video of polynomials. In this video, I will ask you a few questions on polynomials and degree of polynomials. Try to answer them correctly. So, let's start with the first question. From the given expressions, identify which is not a polynomial. You can pause the video to think over. The first option is 2x square minus square root of 3x minus 1 by 2. Here, in the second term, x is also within the root with 3. which means the power of x is 1 by 2, which is not a whole number. So, it is not a polynomial. The second option is y to the power of 6 by 2 minus 3y square minus 5. Here, in the first term, the power is 6 by 2. It is a fraction, but on solving it becomes 3, which is a whole number. Powers of the rest of the terms are also whole numbers. Hence, this is also a polynomial. Now we have the third option, y square minus 1 by y plus 1, where y is not equal to minus 1. Friends, on seeing y plus 1 in the denominator, straight away do not say that it is not a polynomial, but try to simplify it. Like using algebraic identity, a square minus b square is equal to a plus b, a minus b. The numerator can be written as y plus 1, y minus 1. This would become y minus 1 by cancelling y plus 1 from numerator and denominator. Hence, it is a linear polynomial. Friends, to recognize any polynomial, we should focus only on the powers of the variables. Let us now go to the next question. Find the degree of polynomials given below. The very first option seems to be a little doubtful. Some of you can say that this is a linear polynomial. But friends, in such condition, we should always simplify the expression. On solving 2x minus 1 into x minus 2, we get 2x square minus 4x minus x plus 2, which in turn is equal to 2x square minus 5x plus 2. Now we can say that this is a quadratic polynomial. Let's see the second option. The power of variable of the first term is 4, but it is not the highest. Fifth term of this polynomial is x to the power of 5, where the power of x is 5. Hence, this is a polynomial with the degree 5. It would be better to write such polynomials in the descending order of their powers. The third option is quite different from the other two. Is it a polynomial? Yes, it is a polynomial with two variables, where the variables are x and y. We just need to focus on the highest power. Here, the power of the variable of the third term is highest 6. That is, this is a polynomial with degree 6. So friends, let's finish this video with this and see you in the next video. In the next video, we will learn about the roots of the polynomials. Thank you.
Friends, welcome to this video of mathematics. Today, we will study about the zeros of polynomials. Let us start with a unique event. This story is of a well which works according to a polynomial. That is, after putting money into it, it returns money according to polynomial. Many people took advantage of this. Once, Rahul also went to that well and initially he dropped 1 rupee in the well. He got 12 rupees. Then he dropped 2 rupees, he got 9 rupees. Then he dropped 5 rupees, but this time he did not get anything. And if we say in the language of mathematics, he got 0. Friends, Rahul has seen this board near the well, but he did not pay attention to it. Did you notice this board? Let's find the math in this story now. A linear polynomial is written on the board and Rahul also received money according to that. Let's see how. If the polynomial written is p of x equals to 15 minus 3x, when Rahul dropped 1 rupee, according to this polynomial, variable x was replaced by 1 and he got 12 rupees. Similarly, on dropping 2 rupees, he got 9 rupees and on dropping 5 rupees, he got 0. The polynomial will give different values for each number. My dear friends, there will be a number that will make the value of the whole polynomial 0. Like we saw, when Rahul dropped 5 rupees, he did not get a single rupee. Therefore, we call such numbers as the zeros of polynomials. Speaking in simple form, the zero of the polynomial p of x is the number a, by which p of a becomes 0. And this is our topic today. So let's take some polynomials and find their zeros. Let's put different numbers in the first polynomial. By putting 1, we get 9, and we get 12 on putting 2. By increasing the number, the value of polynomial is also increasing. So let's put a number smaller than 1. On putting -1, we get 3. Values are decreasing. Now let's put -2. By putting this value, we get 0. That is, -2 is a 0 of the polynomial 3x plus 6. We can also write this as p of -2 equal to 0. Friends, can you think of another number for x so that the value of this polynomial is 0? Similarly, in the second polynomial, the value of polynomial becomes 0 on substituting x with 0 and 2. That is, this polynomial has two zeros. One is 0 and the other is 2. Can you find any other number besides these two numbers so that the value of this quadratic polynomial is 0? Friends, one thing to note here is the number of zeros of polynomials does not exceed the highest power of the variable of polynomial. But shall we continue to find the zeros by keeping different values in the polynomial? This can take a long time. Therefore, it is also solved. If the polynomial is equated to 0, then we get the 0 of the polynomial directly. So, let's see how. Solving the first polynomial by equating it to 0, we get x is equal to -2. Similarly, on solving the second polynomial, we will get x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 2. The 0 of a polynomial can also be 0, but it is not always necessary to be 0. And now, the last few points that you should take care of. By equating the polynomial to 0, it becomes an equation such that 2x squared minus 4x is a polynomial, and 2x squared minus 4x is equal to 0 is an equation. On solving this, we get the roots of the equation. Here, 0 and 2 are the roots of the equation. And numbers that make the value of the polynomial 0 are called zeros of the polynomial. The numbers are the same, their names change according to the polynomial and the equation. Friends, that's all in today's session. Before going, let's see what we have learned in today's video. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video of polynomials. In the last video, we studied about the zeros of the polynomials. Today, we will solve few questions based on the same topic. Let us start. Find the values of p of -3 and p of 10 for the polynomial p of y equal to y squared minus 2y plus 3. This is a very easy question. Let us find p of -3 first. You can also solve this question with me. So, here the value of p of -3 will be -3 square minus 2 into -3 plus 3 equal to 9 plus 6 plus 3, which is 18. Now, let us find p of 10. Therefore, we get p of 10 is equal to 83. I hope you also got the same answer. Let us now take the next question. From the given options, which one will be the zero of the polynomial x squared minus 5x plus 6? By the way, this is a very easy question. All the values of x need to be put one by one to find for which value of x the polynomial becomes 0. But before solving, keep this in mind. Since the highest power of polynomial is 2, this polynomial can have more than one zero. From the first option, x is equal to 2, we get the value of polynomial as 0. So 2 is the 0 of this polynomial. In the same way, the value of polynomial with x is equal to minus 2 is 20. It means that minus 2 is not the 0 of this polynomial. And in the last, with x is equal to 3, the value of polynomial is 0. It means 3 is the 0 of this polynomial. Let us now go to the next question. Find the zeros of the given polynomials. To find the zeros, we equate the polynomial to 0. So, let's now first find the zeros of the polynomial. The 0 of this polynomial is root 2. Now let us take the next polynomial. P of t is equal to 3t minus 1 into 2t minus 3. Friends, here 3t minus 1 into 2t minus 3 is equal to 0 means that when 3t minus 1 is multiplied with 2t minus 3, it results into 0. And this is possible only when one of the two terms is 0. That means 3t minus 1 is equal to 0 or 2t minus 3 is equal to 0. That is, t is either 1 by 3 or 3 by 2. Now let's go to the next polynomial. P of x is equal to ax minus 3 root a, where a is not equal to 0, which on solving we get 3 by root a. 0 of this polynomial is 3 by root a. That's all in this video. Let's see what we have learned in this video. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video of polynomials. Today we will learn some terms related to zeros of polynomials. As we know, the number of zeros of polynomials is determined by the highest power of variable of polynomials. Let's take a question related to this. Find the number of zeros of the given polynomials. You can think about your answer by pausing the video. Let us start with the first option. To make you understand, the simple form of polynomial x cube minus 6x square plus 11x minus 6 is x minus 1 into x minus 2 into x minus 3 given as the factor of linear polynomial. We determine the number of zeros by the highest power of variable. For example, the highest power of variable of this polynomial is 3. So, this can have a minimum of 1, a maximum of 3 zeros. If we equate x minus 1 into x minus 2 into x minus 3 to 0, then we will get x is equal to 1 or x is equal to 2 or x is equal to 3. Therefore, first polynomial has 3 real zeros, 1, 2 and 3. Real because these are all real numbers. And if we equate polynomial of the second option to 0, then we get x cube minus 8 is equal to 0. That is, x cube is equal to 8. That is, x is equal to 2. This polynomial has only one zero. But friends, you can also say that x is equal to 2 is a root of equation x cube minus 8 is equal to 0, which is being repeated 3 times. And then you can say that the number of zeros of polynomials is equal to the highest power of variable. Both of these statements are correct. Now, let us take the last option, minus 11 by 25. Is it a polynomial? This is a constant polynomial, which can be written like this, where the highest power of variable is 0. Now, if the power is 0, then how many zeros will be there? That will also be 0, or we can say a constant polynomial is the only polynomial which does not have a 0. So friends, let us end this video with this. Thank you.
Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. In this session, we will learn about division of polynomials and remainder theorem. Friends, you might be familiar with the term remainder. Do you remember where you have heard it? Generally, when we divide a number with another number, we get a remainder, which at times can be 0. For example, if we divide 8 by 4, we get the remainder as 0. Whereas, if 10 is divided by 4, the remainder is 2. We can also represent this process as 8 is equal to 4 multiplied by 2 plus 0 and 10 is equal to 4 multiplied by 2 plus 2. And we can say dividend is equal to divisor multiplied by quotient plus remainder. It is important to note that when a number divides the other number completely, then it is called the factor of that number. Here, 4 is the factor of 8. We can do something similar with polynomials also. Let's first see how a given polynomial can be divided by a linear polynomial. Let's start. Find the remainder obtained by dividing the polynomial 3x squared minus 7 minus 5x by x plus 1. Our first step is to arrange the terms in the polynomial in descending order of their power or degree. That is, starting from the term with highest power to the constant term. Now let us solve using the division method. In the second step, we will focus only on the first terms of both dividend and divisor. Here, the first term of the dividend is 3x squared and the first term of the divisor is x. Now, if we divide 3x squared by x, we will get 3x. This is what we have to keep in mind each time. Now, place 3x in the quotient and multiply 3x by all the terms of the divisor. Now, we get plus 3x squared plus 3x, which we will write here and subtract just like we do with numbers. When we subtract, the signs of the terms change. Here, we will get minus 8x. Bring the remaining terms of the dividend down just like we do for numbers. Friends, can you tell what will be our next step? We will now focus on x and minus 8x. Friends, sometimes we don't pay attention to signs. Do not forget to pay attention to signs. Now let's see what we will get when we divide minus 8x by x. The number that we get is minus 8. Let's write minus 8 in the quotient place, and if we multiply it with all the terms of the divisor, we get minus 8x minus 8. When we subtract it, we are left with remainder 1. We can represent this division in the form of 3x squared minus 5x minus 7 is equal to x plus 1, 3x minus 8 plus 1. Friends, the division process will not be complete till we get the power of the remainder 1 less than that of the divisor. This means if the divisor is a linear polynomial, then the remainder should be a constant polynomial or any number or 0. Now let's find p of minus 1 for the polynomial p of x is equal to 3x squared minus 5x minus 7. We got 1 as the remainder, which is the same as what we got by the division method. And where did we get this minus 1 that we substituted in the polynomial? We got that from the divisor. And this is the remainder theorem. So friends, let's assume p of x is a polynomial with degree greater than or equal to 1 and a is a real number. If the polynomial p of x is divided by a linear polynomial x minus a, the remainder we get is p of a. Now let's compare this with our previous example where we divided the polynomial 3x squared minus 5x minus 7 by a linear polynomial x minus 1 and we got the remainder p of minus 1 is equal to 1. And if the remainder is found to be 0, then P of A is equal to 0. And in such situations, A is the 0 of the polynomial. Let's look at an example for this. On dividing the polynomial x square minus 3x plus 2 by x minus 2, we get the remainder as 0. Now, by equating the divisor x minus 2 to 0, we get x is equal to 2 and P of 2 will be 0. That means 2 is the 0 of this polynomial. So friends, with this let's end this video. In this session, we learned about division of polynomials and the remainder theorem. See you in the next video where we will solve some questions based on this topic. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. In the previous video, we learned about division of polynomials and remainder theorem. Today, we will solve some questions related to the remainder theorem. So, let's start with our first question. Divide the polynomial 8x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 7 by a linear polynomial 2x minus pi to find the remainder. We have to first ensure that the given polynomial is arranged in the descending order of its powers. Yes, this polynomial is in descending order. Now, write it in the division format. While writing, be careful and take the linear polynomial to the divisor place and the polynomial with higher powers to the dividend place. Friends, don't get worried looking at it. We just have to follow the steps discussed in the previous video. Now let's start the division. To begin with, we will focus on the first terms of both polynomials. When we divide 8x cubed by 2x, we will get 4x squared. We will write this in the quotient place. Now multiply the quotient with all the terms of the divisor and subtract the product from our polynomial. On subtracting, 8x cubed minus 8x cubed will become 0 and 2x squared plus 4pi x squared will add up to form 2x squared plus 4pi x squared. We can take 2x squared common and write it as 1 plus 2pi multiplied by 2x squared. With this, we will carry the remaining terms of the dividend with their signs below. Now again, divide 1 plus 2pi multiplied by 2x squared by 2x and see what we will get. We will get 1 plus 2 pi multiplied by x, which we will write in the quotient place and multiply it with the divisor. When we multiply 1 plus 2 pi multiplied by x with 2x, we will get 1 plus 2 pi multiplied by 2x squared, and on multiplying 1 plus 2 pi multiplied by x with minus pi, we will get minus pi plus 2 pi squared multiplied by x. Friends, while subtracting, the first term will reduce to 0, but we will have to give proper attention to the remaining terms. From minus 5x and plus pi plus 2 pi squared multiplied by x, we will take x as common and we will write everything else in brackets, which will be pi plus 2 pi squared minus 5 multiplied by x. Now we are left with minus 7, which we will bring down. We will repeat the same process until we get a constant polynomial or 0 as the remainder. Divide pi plus 2 pi square minus 5 multiplied by x by 2x and we will get pi plus 2 pi square minus 5 divided by 2. We will write this in the quotient. Now multiply this term with the divisor and subtract the product so obtained from the polynomial. On multiplying, we get the first term because we have done the calculations keeping that in mind. On multiplying with minus pi, we will get minus pi square plus 2 pi cube minus 5 pi divided by 2. On subtracting, the signs will change and we will get the remainders minus 7 and pi square plus 2 pi cube minus 5 pi divided by 2, which together will become pi square plus 2 pi cube minus 5 pi divided by 2 minus 7. Friends, if we carefully observe the remainder, there is no term with variable x. This means we have got a constant polynomial and hence the division is now complete. So we can say that pi square plus 2 pi cube minus 5 pi divided by 2 minus 7 is the remainder. This is the solution to this question using long division method. Now let's see the solution using remainder theorem. Let's assume p of x is a polynomial with degree greater than or equal to 1 and a is a real number. If the polynomial p of x is divided by a linear polynomial x minus a, the remainder we get is p of a. Let's compare this with our example. Here we are dividing the polynomial p of x by a linear polynomial x minus pi by 2. We got the remainder p of pi by 2 as pi square plus 2 pi cube minus 5 pi divided by 2 minus 7. Now let's move to the second question. State whether the given linear polynomial x minus 1 by 3 is a factor of the polynomial x cube minus 10 by 3x square plus 3x minus 2 by 3. If on dividing the two polynomials we get the remainder as 0, then we can say that the linear polynomial is a factor of the given polynomial. But how to find the remainder without carrying out the division procedure? Yes, we can. If we equate the linear polynomial with 0, we will get the value for x. Now, on substituting the value of x in the given polynomial, we can determine its remainder. So let's do it. On equating x minus 1 by 3 to 0, we will get the root of this equation, that is x is equal to 1 by 3. And now we will find p of 1 by 3. We got p of 1 by 3 as 0. What does this mean? This means x minus 1 by 3 is a factor of the polynomial x cube minus 10 by 3x square plus 3x minus 2 by 3. So friends, with this let's end our video. In this video, we solved a few examples related to the remainder theorem. See you in the next video with some more interesting questions. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video of polynomials. Today, we will learn some interesting facts about remainder theorem. In our previous video, we have already learned how to divide polynomials using the division of polynomials method. So let's solve a question related to it. Divide the polynomial x cube minus 2 by a linear polynomial x minus 1. What are we doing first? Let's write the polynomial in the descending order of its powers. Is the polynomial in descending order here? Yes, but if we look closely, we will notice that terms with x square and x are missing. In such a situation, we can write those terms by taking their coefficient as 0. And now, solving this would be easy. We have partly solved this question for you. Fill in the remaining blanks. You may also pause the video to solve this question. So friends, we hope you could solve this question easily. We end this video here. See you in the next video with a new topic. Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. Today, we will learn about the factor theorem and splitting the middle term related to polynomials. In the previous video, we learned about the remainder theorem, which states that when a polynomial p of x with power 1 or more than 1 is divided by a linear polynomial x minus a, gives a remainder p of a. And taking this theorem one step further, the factor theorem states that if p of a gives the remainder 0, that is, if x minus a divides p of x completely, then x minus a is a factor of p of x. And if x minus a is a factor of p of x, then p of a will be 0. Let's see an example related to this theorem. Check whether x plus 3 is a factor of the polynomial 2x square plus 7x plus 3 or not. According to the factor theorem, if x plus 3 is a factor of the polynomial 2x squared plus 7x plus 3, then p of minus 3 should be 0, where minus 3 is obtained by equating x plus 3 to 0. That is, if we write the polynomial this way, we have to check whether p of minus 3 is 0 or not. So let's check it. Now we can say that, according to the factor theorem, x plus 3 is a factor of this polynomial. Friends, can there be more factors of this polynomial? Yes. The number of factors of a polynomial depends on the highest power of the variable of the polynomial. For example, a quadratic polynomial has 2 linear factors and a cubic polynomial has 3 factors, etc. So now, let's learn how to find all the factors of a polynomial. For this, we have 2 methods. One is factor theorem and the second is splitting the middle term. Suppose we are given a quadratic polynomial 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. From this, we will derive the factors using the factorization method and splitting the middle term method. First, let's see the factorization method. The polynomial is 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. To solve using this method, the coefficient of x squared has to be 1. So we can take 2 common out of it and write it like this: 2 of x squared plus 7 by 2x plus 3 by 2. Now, if we write x squared plus 7 by 2x plus 3 by 2 equal to p of x, then this will become 2p of x. And suppose if a and b are its 2 zeros, then you can write this polynomial in terms of factors as 2p of x is equal to 2 of x minus a of x minus b. And here you can see that the constant is ab. That is, for this polynomial, ab is 3 by 2. So we will find 2 numbers a and b whose product is 3 by 2. First of all, plus or minus 1 and the number itself, that is plus or minus 3 by 2, are the factors. Also, 3 by 2 can be written as 3 multiplied by 1 by 2, that is, plus or minus 3 and plus or minus 1 by 2 will also be factors. Thus, some possible values of a and b can be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 1 by 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 3 by 2. Now, substituting all these values in the polynomial, we have to find which of these will make the value of the polynomial 0. P of minus 1 by 2 will be 0 and P of minus 3 will be 0. We get the values of a and b. Now, we can write them in terms of factors of polynomials as x plus 1 by 2 and x plus 3. And finally, we get only 2 factors of this polynomial as it is a quadratic polynomial. Now, let's solve this polynomial using the method of splitting the middle term and see if the results are the same or not. Friends, we have learnt this method in the context of quadratic equations in our previous session. As you all know, here we will multiply the coefficient of x squared, that is 2, and the constant 3 to get 6. And then find 2 such numbers whose product is 6 and sum is the coefficient of the middle term, that is 7. The numbers whose product is 6 and sum is 7 are 6 and 1. Now, we will split the middle term and write it like this. So here we can see that in both the situations, we get the same factors. You can check whether the polynomials is being reduced to 0 by finding the value of x from both the factors. Friends, that's all in this video. So what did we learn in today's video? Factor theorem and splitting the middle term. Now let's meet in the next video where we will solve some questions based on this topic. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. In this video, we will learn to find the factors of polynomials using the factor theorem and the method of splitting the middle term. So let's start with the first question. Check whether x minus 2 is a factor of the given polynomials. According to the factor theorem, if x minus 2 is a factor of these two polynomials, then p of 2 should be 0, where 2 is obtained by equating x minus 2 to 0. That is, if we write both these polynomials this way, we have to check whether p of 2 and q of 2 are 0 or not. So let's check. In both the polynomials, x has to be replaced by 2. And now we get p of 2 is equal to 0 and q of 2 is equal to 12. Now, according to the factor theorem, we can say that x minus 2 is a factor of the first polynomial, but not a factor of the second polynomial. So, let's move on to the next question. Find the factors of the given polynomial. So friends, tell me, which method will you use here? Can we start with the method of splitting the middle term? Friends, this is a cubic polynomial and we use the method of splitting the middle term in the case of a quadratic polynomial. Therefore, we will solve this polynomial using the factorization method. The first step is to make the coefficient of x cube 1 and find the factors of the constant term. Here, the coefficient of x cube is 1, which means we have to find the factors of minus 50. And this is quite easy. We just have to make a list of those numbers with which minus 50 is completely divisible and some of those possible values can be. And now we come to the second step. One by one, we will substitute these numbers along with their signs in the polynomial and observe which number can make the value of the polynomial 0. So p of 1 becomes 0. P of minus 1 becomes minus 72. P of 2 becomes 84. P of minus 2 equals minus 72. P of 5, 600. P of minus 5, 0. P of 10, 2700. And P of minus 10 is equal to 0. Here, for the cubic power of x, we get 3 zeros. And since this is a cubic polynomial, there will not be any more zeros. And now, we can represent this polynomial in terms of its factors. P of x is equal to x minus 1, x plus 5, x plus 10. Friends, after finding the first factor, you can solve it without finding the other factors. Let's see how. When we got p of 1 as 0, we derived our first factor x minus 1. So, now let's take x minus 1 common from this cubic polynomial. If this polynomial had minus x square after the first term, then after taking out the common x square, we will be able to write like this. But here, instead of minus x square, we have 14x square. So now what? We will subtract and add x square once from x cube. Now, we can take it common. If you take x square common from the first two terms, you will get x square of x minus 1. The remaining x square plus 14x square will become 15x square plus 35x minus 50. Now we can perform the same with 15x square. Here, if the first term was minus 15x, then by taking 15x common, we could write like this 15x of x minus 1. So let's subtract and add 15x once. Now, again 15x and 35x will get added up to become 50x. Now, taking 50 common, we can write x minus 1. After this, by taking x minus 1 common from all the terms, we can express it like this: x minus 1, x square plus 15x plus 50. This is in the form of a quadratic polynomial. Can we now solve it using the method of splitting the middle term? Yes. Here, the coefficient of x square is 1 and the coefficient of the constant term is 50, and the two terms whose product is 50 and the sum is the coefficient of the middle term, that is 15, are 10 and 5. Pause the video and solve it yourself and see if the other two factors that you are getting are the same or not. Friends, that's all in this video. What did we learn in today's session? To find the factors of polynomials using factor theorem and the method of splitting the middle term. We will now meet in the next video. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. In this video, we will solve some interesting questions using factor theorem and splitting the middle term. So let's start. If x is one of the factors of the cubic polynomial p of x is equal to x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x, then what can be one of the zeros of this polynomial? Friends, the answer to this question lies in the question itself. We do not even need to solve it completely. You can pause the video and think about the answer. Here, we can also say that the factor of this polynomial is either x or x minus 0, all the same. So, according to the factor theorem, 0 will be one of its zeros. You can also check the value of p of 0 whether it is 0 or not. Now, let's take the next question. Solve the given polynomial using the method of splitting the middle term. Friends, there is no middle term here. Can we write it like this? X squared plus 0x minus 4. Yes. The coefficient of the middle term is 0 and the constant is minus 4. That is, we need two such numbers whose product is minus 4 and the sum is 0. Friends, can those two numbers be plus 2 and minus 2? Yes. The solution to this question will be somewhat like this. And with this, let's end this video. In this video, we learned to solve some interesting questions related to the use of factor theorem and the method of splitting the middle term.
Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. In this session, we will focus and learn about algebraic identities. We have studied these algebraic identities in our previous classes. Today, we will find a few more identities using these four identities. So, let's begin. Identity 1. Using the identity for the square of a binomial, we will derive the identity for the square of a trinomial. So, let's apply identity 1, x plus y square is equal to x square plus 2xy plus y square to a trinomial x plus y plus z to the whole square. Here, if we assume x plus y as t, then this trinomial identity can once again be seen as a binomial identity. You can also assume y plus z or x plus z as t. Our goal is to convert it from a trinomial to a binomial. Now, we can use identity 1. And now, keep the value of t. Then you will get this: x plus y plus z the whole square is equal to x square plus y square plus z square plus 2xy plus 2yz plus 2xz. We can remember it like this. In the square of a trinomial, there are 3 squares and 3 factors. And this is called identity 5. Just like we learned how to derive the identity of the square of a trinomial from the square of a binomial, we will now learn to derive the identity of a cubic polynomial from a quadratic polynomial. So let's compute x plus y to the power of 3 by applying identity 1. We can write x plus y to the power of 3 like x plus y into x plus y to the power of 2, which becomes x into x square plus 2xy plus y square plus y into x square plus 2xy plus y square. When simplified, this becomes x cube plus 3x square y plus 3xy square plus y cube. Or you can write it like this as well. X plus y to the power of 3 is equal to x cube plus y cube plus 3xy into x plus y. And this is identity 6. The next identity is based on this only. We have to find the extended form of x minus y to the power of 3. We can derive this by substituting y with minus y in identity 6. And let's call it identity 7. And now let's move towards the last identity of this session. X plus y plus z into x square plus y square plus z square minus xy minus yz minus xz. It looks a bit different in its extended form. So after this step, some terms cancel each other, leaving only x cube, y cube, z cube and minus 3xyz. And this is our identity 8. If you notice, we have expanded the right hand side to equal the left hand side. You can write this in any order. Friends, can you tell us why we use identities in the study of polynomials? These identities help in finding the factors and multiples of algebraic expressions. And we will see similar examples in the next video. So what did we learn in today's session? We learned about algebraic identities. And now we will meet in the next video. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. Today we will solve some questions based on algebraic identities. We have a total of 8 identities. By using these 8 identities, let us see how to find the factors and products of polynomials. So let's start with our first question. Find the product using the appropriate identities. By looking at these 8 identities, can you tell which one can be used to solve this question? To find the answer to this, we will have to see to which identity this question resembles. That is, in which identity there is a sign of addition and subtraction between 2 terms. And that is identity 3. X square minus y square is equal to x plus y into x minus y. That is, 2x plus 1 by 2 into 2x minus 1 by 2 is equal to 2x square minus 1 by 2 to the power of 2. After solving this, we will get 4x square minus 1 by 4. Now, let's find the solution to another sub-question in a similar way. All identities are related to the addition or subtraction of 2 terms. If we write it in the form of 100 plus 7 into 100 plus 5, it will look like identity 4. X plus a into x plus b is equal to x square plus a plus b into x plus ab, where x is 100 and a and b are 7 and 5 respectively. So 107 multiplied by 105 would be 100 square plus 7 plus 5 multiplied by 100 plus 7 multiplied by 5, which becomes 10,000 plus 1,200 plus 35. That is in total 11,235. Let's move to the next question. Find the factors of 9x square minus 6x plus 1 using the appropriate identities. Which identity does this look like? Can you answer? In such cases, pay attention only to the variable, that is x square minus x plus dash. Doesn't this look like identity 2? If we write it like this, 3x square minus 2 multiplied by 3x plus 1 square, then this becomes equal to 3x minus 1 to the power of 2. Let's go ahead and take the next question. Expand 2 by 3y minus 1 to the power of 3 using the appropriate identities. Here we have to use the identity directly, where x is 2 by 3y and y is 1. Pause the video and try to solve it yourself. The solution will be somewhat like this. Now write 1 by 2a minus 1 by 3b plus c whole square in an expanded form. Here, which identity will we use? Yes, identity 5. Here, x is 1 by 2a, y is minus 1 by 3b, and z is c. This is quite easy. Solve it yourself and see whether you are getting the right answer. Let's take the next question. Find the factors of x square plus 4y square plus 9z square minus 4xy plus 12yz minus 6xz. Once again, we will look only at the variable and all the identities and find out with which identity it resembles. If we write this expression only in terms of x, y and z, then it will look somewhat like this. And now we will write it as identity 5. Now this will happen, which we will write in factor terms as follows. And now let's take the last question of this session. The area of the given rectangle is as follows: 32x square plus 6x minus 5. Give the possible expression of its length and breadth. Friends, the area of a rectangle is length multiplied by breadth. The area of a rectangle is a quadratic polynomial. After finding its factors, we have to substitute it with the length and the breadth. This means we have to find the factors of this polynomial. We will solve this polynomial 32x square plus 6x minus 5 by splitting the middle term method. So 32 multiplied by minus 5 will be minus 160. Now two numbers whose product is minus 160 and the sum is 6 are 16 and minus 10. Now let's write it like this. 2x plus 1 and 16x minus 5 are the possible expressions of the length and breadth of this rectangle. So friends, that's all in today's session. In today's video, we learned to solve questions based on identities. See you in the next video with some more questions. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome to this video on polynomials. Today we will discuss some questions related to algebraic identities. Find the value of 98 to the power of 3 using the appropriate identities. You must have seen such questions. How would you solve it? Generally, we write such questions in this form. 100 minus 2 to the power of 3. Can we also write it like this? 90 plus 8 to the power of 3? Yes. When we write it as 100 minus 2 to the power of 3, then the identity x minus y to the power of 3 is used. And for 90 plus 8 to the power of 3, we will have to use the identity x plus y to the power of 3. Pause the video and try to solve it yourself. Using both methods, we will get the same answer. The only difference is that using the number 100 makes it a little easier to multiply or square or cube. So friends, that's all in this video. See you in the next video with a new chapter. Thank you.